Welcome to She Manifests Wealth Formula podcast. I'm Leonor S. and a master of subconscious mind, entrepreneur, and a creator of best-rated course on manifestation, wealth formula. With experience coaching 15,000 plus people, I have crafted a 15-minute formula to solve any problem, aiming to transform health, wealth, and relationships. In this podcast, I strive to showcase real-life transformation stories that bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to be. Let's manifest our lives together because nothing is impossible when we are the conscious creators of our life. Thank you for tuning in today, and let's begin. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Rachel. And welcome to She Manifests podcast. And I have this dear, fantastic guest, Rachel. We've been planning to meet and talk for, 3 times or something. 3 or 4 times. Well, we made it happen. So it's a very, very special conversation. All right, Rachel, I don't like to read the description about the people. Please tell me who you are and what's your mission.
Sure, sounds good. It's funny you say we've tried to meet 3 or 4 times because I'm thinking all in divine timing. So whatever we're about to talk about today must have some really good energy behind it. That's for sure, because we're
Absolutely.
finally here.
Absolutely.
So thank you for having me. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Rachel Joy, and I'm a trainer in NLP, otherwise known as Neuro-Linguistic Programming, EFT, commonly known as tapping, hypnotherapy, life and success coaching, and T.I.M.E Techniques, which is very similar to timeline therapy. I'm the co-founder of Total Recovery Practitioner, which is a coaching certification in partnership with my mom, where we train and certify coaches in those powerful modalities with a trauma-informed coaching protocols and approach. But then more recently, my biggest passion has been my latest business baby, House of Joy, where I've furthered my credentials into parenting coaching. I have a 4-year-old almost, and I'm 36 weeks pregnant right now.
Oh,
And that, yep, it's happening. That journey of parenthood has really opened my eyes to everything that I had already known and how we can literally change the confidence, the success, the mental health of generations to come if we're teaching children these tools from a young age. And that starts with us, the parents. So that's what I do, and that's who I am.
okay, I pushed the button. Um, my team will cut out. So, Rachel, I see you have your mission is basically more to leave the legacy right through this transformation that you are doing. What is the most important thing that you have learned in this lifetime?
My God. What a big question to start off with. What is the most important thing we've learned? I don't know if it's something that I've learned, but a common theme that is always recurring for me, like something I'm always thinking about, is how the impact of trauma and mental health, how it plays out from generation to generation to generation, and how it plays out to also your success. So whatever happened to you or didn't happen to you as a child based off of what you experienced from various different people, places, and things is a big contributing factor. It's not the factor, but it's a big contributing factor to who you grow up to be as an adult. And who you grow up to be as an adult determines your overall success in business and career, the quality of your relationships and love that you have, how you communicate, and what you really believe that you're capable and worthy of. And that's been I guess the big question of like, what is the meaning to life would be, how do we reach our fullest potential?
Amazing. So, what brought you to this journey? So, you said your mom is also teaching people, right?
Yeah.
Is this because of your mom? Is this because you have had some past experience that made you to serve people and learn all these subconscious mind reprogramming techniques? What
Yeah.
is?
So my mom, I would say, is the first cycle breaker in our family. And so she entered into recovery from addiction when I was around 11 years old. And so while I'm so grateful that she did that, between the ages of 0 to 7 is also your most impactful years. And so there was a lot of dysfunction in the home still, not just from her behavior, but also between my father and her, who are happily married still. Thank God they have shown us what a successful relationship is, because it's not always easy, right? It takes work. But there was a lot of dysfunction. There was a lot of conflict. And that deeply impacted me. I'm definitely an empath. I'm a sensitive soul. And I was also the youngest. So I just saw it through different eyes. And so my mom entered into recovery, and that was kind of like the catalyst. But I had always felt very different growing up, and that was because of the story. As you and I were talking before recording, everything means nothing except for the meaning you attach to it, right? And so I had this story that because my mom went to rehab and nobody knew what rehab was, because one of my eldest brothers went to treatment at 16 years old, which is unheard of as well, especially back then. Because my parents are getting separated, I'm different. My family is broken, and so therefore I must be broken. That was the meaning that I attached to it. And that narrative carried on until 18 years old. And, teenagers, those angsty teenage years are not fun to begin with. And I was very depressed, very anxious, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So at 19, when my mom was still in recovery, very stable at that point, she's been working in the industry at that point, I just said to her, like, she knew what was going on with me. I was in my own addictions at that point, and I would always lie to her about it, and I couldn't lie to
So
her.
what were your addictions back then?
I was self-medicating with weed and alcohol. And I would drink vodka, warm vodka in my room at 3 a.m. just crying myself to sleep. Especially because there was nowhere to keep the stuff, because I lived in a home where my mom was sober. So there was nowhere it's not like I could take it from my parents. So I kept it in the back of my closet. It was nice and warm and not delicious at all. But I would just, listen to Coldplay, cry myself to sleep, and just try to drown my sorrows away, which never ever works. And I just couldn't lie to her anymore. So I said to her, I remember the words, I was like, Mom, I know I have greatness within me. I want to be great. I just don't know how to be great. And because of the work that she does, which is particularly treatment navigation, where she helps families find the right treatment plan for the unique, client, because everyone's different. It's not cookie cutter. I was a week later off to Salt Lake City on a plane to a residential treatment center. And that was where it all started for me, was this space, this sanctuary for me to really unpack everything that I just shared with you.
Amazing. And now you're here and helping so many people, right? Just because of your past experience.
Yes.
Right. And if people are listening, and obviously we know what is subconscious, what is conscious, explain how the subconscious works, because this is something that I teach to my community as well. But I want you to explain people why people should work on their subconscious mind, because in our society we are thinking if we're going to push harder, if we're going to work harder, then we're going to be more successful. And I always say, I even ask the question, what do you think? Is the willpower important? Because my mom taught me that it is, if you have a willpower, you will achieve everything. And, we know it's not true. It's not enough with the willpower. So could you please explain how the subconscious impacts our lives, how the subconscious impacts our results, behavior, and everything else?
Yeah, so it's interesting you say that, because the minute you said that, in my head I'm like, yeah, willpower can work for some, but it only gets you so far. And I instantly heard my mom say, I hear her say all the time to her clients, especially in addiction, because that is a subconscious pattern. It is trauma linked oftentimes. You cannot willpower your way to change. You have to, as you were discussing, do the subconscious work. And so the way I like to explain subconscious work, or your subconscious mind, and why it's so powerful and important, is that it's basically the science of manifestation. So when people are visualizing their desires or writing out their scripts, what they're really doing in those moments is tapping into their subconscious. When you're visualizing, you're not just like imagining your dream home, for example. You're seeing that picture, but then you're seeing it in either color or black and white, however you view it. And then you're noticing how it feels for you in that moment as you close your eyes to be able to walk through that dream kitchen of yours or whatever it is. And as you notice that, you tend to get a feeling. And then maybe I'm going with this direction. So maybe as you're in that dream kitchen, you open the back door and you hear the birds chirping, and that sound that you hear in that visualization brings you so much peace. What we're doing is we're creating that sensation that we're so deeply longing for in the here and now. And when we create it in the here and now, your subconscious gets on board, because the subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and not real. And then like, oh, we've seen this before. I like this feeling way more than my current reality. Let's get more of this. And that's your reticulator activation system going, because it's always going to look for whatever it is that you're looking for. What you focus on, you will find, as Tony Robbins says, right? And so one key piece of this that I haven't mentioned, which I should mention from the start, is that your subconscious is responsible for anywhere from 95 to 99% of all thoughts, feelings, behaviors. So you want to make sure that those thoughts, feelings, behaviors that you're subscribing to are the ones that you want, are the ones that really drive you towards the success that you desire, the love that you desire, the family life, whatever it is that you're focusing on.
So everything is good when everything is good. When we are well rested on vacation, money is coming, and we are in good mood and good relationship. But when it feels like, I don't know, a huge ball of the snow is falling on you, and it's like the size of the big building,
Yep.
what do you do?
I
Because
love this
like Rachel, I will be really honest, because I like real talk, and I work with my subconscious. Like, I mean, I know nobody who works as much as I do. I'm super disciplined, I'm super committed. And but recently I've had like one after another events, and it's like, it feels like I'm taking out my head from the water, and somebody is drowning me again and again and again. Still, I stay positive and everything, but I feel like, it's so easy. And I want you to explain to the people, because I meditate, right? I do 1 hour meditations, I do active meditations, I do hypnosis and everything else. And what the people, if they're in this feeling, they're losing the hope that something is gonna change. So what would you suggest in these moments when it feels like, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this even?
I love this. And I don't know what made me, like, I had a sense we were about to go down this path. And I too have come out of a very difficult season. And I don't even know if I'm fully out of it, because I want to say right now I'm good. Right now I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm excited, I'm positive. Things look like they're working for me again. But I'm also about to give birth. And if I know anything about postpartum, that stage is very messy, right? And so me too. It's been a very difficult 12 months, I would say. But more recently, like the past 3 months, have brought up, this pregnancy was nothing like my first. Like, this pregnancy has brought up a lot of the same feelings that I experienced in teenagehood, like the depression. I had never felt so low before. I had never felt, um, I felt like I completely didn't know who I was, to be honest. Like, there was moments where I was like, who am I? And all the tools and resources that I was doing were not working in that moment.
And
But
we
right
are
now,
like, we feel even like an imposter, right? It's like,
yeah,
we are the
100%.
professionals. We are supposed to be perfect. The problem happened, and I go get it, and next day the life is fantastic. And I'm bringing this up actually so that people see that we are human beings.
Yes.
I'm not here to teach anybody. I'm not here to say, my life is perfect. I do have ups and downs. But now we're going to listen how Rachel is dealing with her challenges, and then I will share my experience.
Okay, so I have a few things in my head, so hopefully I can remember all of them. But when I'm in a time like this, I remember that there's polarity in life. It can't always be good and it can't always be bad. And those harder moments, I deeply believe, even though we don't want to be in those harder moments, are there to teach us certain things that we need to learn in order to be shaped and shifted and molded into the version of us that we're literally asking to become. So if you're asking for a certain manifestation, you're going to receive the assignment that you need in order to become or receive that manifestation. And through that process, there might be fear, there might be doubt, there might be discomfort. Actually, there will
Shame,
be
shame.
shame, guilt,
Mhm.
and oftentimes as well, there's regurgitation of trauma as well. And that means that you're being called to another deeper layer of healing. So we're never fully healed. It's just that those common narratives that you subscribe to, like I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, whatever it might be, they come up again for you to look at in a completely different light, for you to heal again. And that's why it's even more important to lean on those tools like the subconscious reprogramming and meditation. And that doesn't mean you're going to see results overnight, right? That's why you're doing all the things. You're like, it's not working, but it is working. It's a compounding effect. If you keep doing it, eventually you will see the light. So it's a matter of really just embracing that chapter, leaning into it. There's that quote, what you resist persists. I
Mhm.
find when I'm in those hard moments, whenever I try to push away from it or try to make like, oh yeah, I'm totally fine, or like if I sometimes I ignore it, like I lie to myself about where I'm at, right? When I ignore it or when I try to push it away or try to fix it and get out of it quickly, it actually causes me more pain. The other thing I look at in those moments is if it's not about taking me towards where I'm wanting to go, I often use it as a place of like, what else is there to learn here? I find in those moments, I'm also being called to look at my life, my values, and notice that I'm actually deeply misaligned. Like I say I might want one thing, but I'm doing a completely different thing. Or what I'm saying I'm working towards is actually not what I want at all anymore because I've evolved and I'm a different person to who I was however many years ago. Which again is more healing work, but those are the things I look at is how is this shaping me towards where I want to go, or how is this um, in alignment for me? What is in alignment for me in this current version and season of my life?
I like that. I'm thinking about my moments when I have those lowest moments, and I'm feeling so responsible for the community who is following me and the people who are in my programs. And I always walk my talk, right? And never lie to people. I don't show something that is better. But I think it's just important for us to show people, even you have all the tools, you need to be ready that you're going to be in the lowest moments. And what I loved about what you said was where you said, if this is happening, it doesn't mean that you are bad or something. It means it's triggering your past trauma, your past experience, your past program that is making you feel in some certain way. And just because it is still there, and if you want to get to that point, to your goal, you need to go through this. You need to reprogram your mind so that you can go to the next level. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and why it's always happening to me, and this. And recently I had this feeling, you know, I have such a big fear to stay alone, to be rejected. And it's like nonstop because what I believe that nothing in our lives is happening as a coincidence. There are no coincidences
100%.
in these lives. So if
Yeah.
you meet somebody who is mean to you, if you meet that somebody, I don't know, man is cheating on you, if you meet an employee who is misbehaving, I mean, whatever, It is something that you have attracted in your life that is gonna bring out the program that you need to work on.
Yeah,
And I think it's so
totally.
beautiful. If you understand it, it's as simple as that. What's happening in those moments? You take responsibility. Aha, so now I see this person has triggered in me this program that I have the belief, the fear. And it means in order for me to go to the next level, I need to work on this.
Yeah. We get the assignments. And it's really about like, it's not why is this happening to me? It's like you ordered this. You asked
Mhm.
for it and now it's on your plate. So you better eat it
Exactly.
type of thing.
Exactly. You ordered this. And they're like, no, I didn't attract. I don't like this at all. But actually, you did order this.
That's the
And
thing. When we manifest, we think it's going to show up in rainbows and butterflies and it's just going to be
mhm,
easy. But like that's not how it goes. It will always show up in a way different to how you expected. And so you got to like be that kid on the roller coaster who's just holding on for dear life, but
mhm.
you go with it anyway. You can't get off the roller coaster because if you get off the roller coaster, you're dead. You're not getting what you want. But if you stay on the ride and hold on, eventually you end up having fun on that roller coaster and you get to where you want to be and then you want to do the roller coaster again. But yeah, it's so funny how it never shows up how you think it's going to show up or how you want it to show up.
Absolutely. What is manifestation?
Oh, what is manifestation? The ability or the art of calling in and reaching your desires.
How do you do that? What is your manifestation formula?
What is my manifestation formula? I have seasons where that changes. So sometimes I'm like all in on Kundalini yoga. There's something. Have you ever done Kundalini
I've
yoga?
done this 21 day challenge where you dance in some certain moves.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, like where you
Yeah.
activate the energy. I've done it for 3 years, but now I don't know,
Wow.
it was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Every
yeah,
summer I was going this 21 day challenge.
good for you. That's really good. That's for example, like that's not a season I'm in anymore right now. Like I don't feel called to that. But when I do feel called, when I was first starting my business and manifesting, all the success, the financial freedom that I wanted, all that like the big influencer dream stuff, that was I was relying heavily on Kundalini yoga, and there was something so powerful about it. Whenever I did this one particular meditation, which was the meditation or the activation for abundance, I swear to God, money would appear. I don't know if it was just because
Send
of
me
my
this meditation. I want to
you're
check
like, tell
if
it
it
to
is as
me.
good as mine.
So it's like it's really weird. It's hard to do, and it's funny. This meditation keeps coming up, so maybe it's time for me to go back to it. But your gaze is going to be like towards your eyes or towards your nose. I mean, but not like so cross-eyed, but down a little. So cross-eyed and then down, so you can see the tip of your nose. And then your hands, the mudra for your hands is you're going to tap your forefingers together, scoop under, tap your pinkies. Your thumbs are tapped in. And then you're going to say HUD. The mantra is HUD, but it sounds like har. So it's HUD, HUD,
Had,
HUD,
had,
HUD, HUD. And you do that
had,
for,
had.
I believe it's anywhere from 7 to 11 minutes. They
And
say,
money keeps coming.
I swear,
Oh
sometimes
gosh.
you got to do it more than once
Guys, do
for a
this.
few
Hot,
days,
hot,
but
and the money is pouring.
I'll send you the link. And one thing
Send.
that I do when I'm doing that is I'll also like visualize my desires. So I'm not just doing the mantra. I'm like, this is what I want. This is happening. Like I'm feeling into what it is that I'm calling in. So that was one season of my life. Right now, the season I'm in, I would say, is focusing on what's most important to me, like living in alignment to your values, because that does get you to where you want to be. Which for me is making sure I'm taking care of myself. Because if I'm burnt out, I just came from a season of burnout in both business and motherhood. If I'm burnt out, I can't be the vessel that I need to be to get what I want. So taking care of your health, and then also that includes daily hypnotherapy for me.
A client of mine, she came to me and she's like, Leanna, I want results in the business. And I do this, 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 this. And she's like all stressed. I said, you know what? I'm
She
your
left.
coach, right? I'm like, you need to listen me. You go and you take 4 days off.
And
What?
how hard is it to do
Oh my
that when you're full
God.
time?
If you see this resistance, I cannot do this. I need to do this, and what I gonna do, and I do. And people don't understand. As calmer you are, as easier for you is to manifest and attract things what you want.
Yeah.
Because if you are all stressed out, you live in the fight, flight, or freeze mode. So I'm always saying if you enter in the forest and there is and it's getting dark and you start to hear the sounds, what are you doing? You're like freaking out, right? You are thinking how to escape from the
Yeah.
forest. But if you enter in the forest and it's nice and sunny day and you hear the birds singing and everything, you're like enjoying and then you are going with the flow. And when we run all the time, it's like being in that first state where your mind needs to take care of your survival. And you cannot create or manifest what you want because money is not just coming actually. Money is coming from the ideas, from your action when you are taking an action based on your idea, right? And if you are so stressed, you don't even see all these possibilities how money can come, how your dream partner can come because you are living in the survival mode, right?
Well, when you're in a stress response or trauma response, the blood flow from your brain actually leaves your brain and goes to your stomach, your limbs, like all the places it needs so that you can fight or flight. And I'm happy you're mentioning this because I feel like this is probably the part where most people in today's world go wrong in manifestation, and even myself at times, because of the demands of society. You know, we're constantly scrolling like this. We're working late hours. We're eating crappy food. We're running around to take care of our families and ourselves. Like, we are a stressed out society. Stress has been proven that it's the number one killer in the world. So, how can you ever really easily, let's say, easily achieve what it is that you want if, like you said, you're constantly activated in a dysregulated state?
And
It's
this is
not
a
going to work.
habit. Do you agree with
Yeah.
me, Rachel? It's a cultural habit. Like
Well, we're
today, I was at
addicted to stress as well, for sure.
exactly. I was today at the massage and he's so bright and an old man. And he's saying, you know, Leanna, I love France so much. I said, why do you love France? Because it's so calm and peaceful, and people never stress so much. If you go to Spain, Spanish people, they are also, siesta, always so slow. But somehow, yeah, and somehow, like I know America is the same, like in our society, also stress is highly valued if you do, so that you
Yeah.
don't think, because when you do, then you cannot think and be in your best version of yourself. And the question is how to change this habit because it's a habit that is holding people back.
Yeah.
What do you think? How
I
we can
think
change it?
it's so there's the logical and then there's the energetic. So the logical is again looking at your values. Are you living in a way that's most important to you? Um, for example, we're told that we have to work hard for money oftentimes, right? Put in the work, put in the hours instead of working smarter. But that might go against everything that you stand for. If you're, in my case, a mom, especially with little ones, I deeply value time freedom. You know, putting in the hours isn't in alignment for me right now. So then it's a matter of how can I protect myself, protect my family, get the time that I want, and still be able to show up for my business in a way that supports me and my family and the capacity that I have in this season of life. So one is the logical. Are you living in a way that really supports you and the vision that you want? The other part is the energetic, which is the nervous system regulation. If we're so addicted to stress, we need to start learning what it feels like and get comfortable with what it feels like to be in a state of peace, to be in a state of calm. And maybe it's not even calm or peace right away. Maybe it's just a state of neutrality where you have diffused that stress response. Because some of us don't even know what peace feels like. Maybe you grew up in a dysfunctional home where there was never ever any peace. So you're always pushing away from that because it feels unknown, it feels unsafe to you. Just diffuse it to neutrality instead. And that comes through nervous system regulation.
And what is your routine? How do
Ooh,
you,
again,
what do you
changes all
do?
the time.
Changes all the
Seasons, right? We go through seasons. So sometimes for me, regulating my nervous system is as simple as daily movement, like working out. I would say that's been a constant for me, is exercise, and good nutrition. But then there's other moments where there's actual techniques that I'm using, like somatic shaking, like literally shaking the stress, the trauma, the anger, fight or flight out of your body. All you need is 3 minutes.
Rachel, I need to speak about shaking. I was doing
Go
this
for it.
today. And so it's just, I'm sorry I interrupted you. In the morning, I woke up like 6:30. I was like, okay, I have this stress and I'm doing whatever it takes so that it doesn't stay on my body. Because
Yeah.
if, I keep these emotions and I lock the door, I'm in the bathroom, everybody is sleeping. And I'm taking the pillow, I'm putting my meditation because I created one where you can release and shake and hit with the legs. And I take the pillow and I scream in this pillow because I was so, anxious.
Yeah.
And then coming my daughter, she's waking up, she's 10. Mom, there are some insane people running and screaming. And I was like, you cannot hear. My husband also, I heard it as well. I'm like, oh
You're
my
like, no,
God.
that's just me.
Yeah, sorry. So shaking. Tell me 3 minutes of shaking.
That's funny. All you need is 3 minutes. And do you know the philosophy behind it?
Tell me. It's about the animals, right? How the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah. So it's from Dr. Peter Levine, who the founder of somatic experiencing, which is a fantastic technique for treating trauma or regulating your nervous system, essentially. In the wild, the reason why animals are able to survive in the wild after being preyed upon or experiencing quotation of trauma is because they literally they just shake it off and move on. They play dead, shake it off, move on. We do not do that. We talk about meanings, some type of traumatic event will happen or a hurtful event will happen. We'll attach meaning to it. We then internalize that meaning and we hold on to that meaning as part of our identity. And so then we're carrying that moment with us all throughout time until we consciously choose or decide that we're ready to release this. So by shaking, you're literally getting it stored out of your body, just like animals do. But they intuitively know to do that because even though we're humans, there's still a lot of intelligence within other animals. So that's one thing I'll do. Tapping is a fantastic one as well.
Can we do something now?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Let's do stress release, tapping.
Sure. Okay. How many minutes do you want to go for? Because I'm thinking like I have
Give
a
me
few different
options.
ideas.
Give me
I
options.
can teach you something that can take literally like 1 minute, or I could do something that takes 5 minutes.
Let's do three minutes.
3 minutes.
I
Okay.
like to go.
I'm like, how can I do three? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll teach you the 1 minute tool, and then I'll guide. Rather than facilitating, I'll tell you what to do for the longer version. How's that sound?
Okay, let's do
Okay,
this.
cool. So this one is one of my favorites. This is the 1 minute technique. There is a point, an acupressure point. Tapping is based off of tapping on different energetic meridians in your body to, again, they say release stuck or stagnant energy. Um, but really it's just acupressure points that move energy throughout your body. And so when we're tapping on certain points, we can release that tension, that stress, that trauma from our body. And our mind and body are always connected as well, right? So if we're releasing it from our body, we're releasing it from our mind. So there is a point in between your pinky and your ring finger. If you
Hmm.
wiggle your hands, you see that little like gushy part right there, that ligament
Oh,
when it wiggle in
okay,
between.
I see. Yes.
Yep, that's called your gamut point. So your gamut point is known for reducing your fight or flight response. So
Mm.
all you have to do is just tap that point consistently. And so how I utilize this is I'll also combine it with just calming deep breaths, like in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then I'll also pair it with a mantra that just came to me one day. So the first time I used this fully was when I was starting my business. I was terrified to go live on Facebook, right? They tell you go live every day, build your audience, get exposure. I'm like, no, thank you. And so I would have to mentally prepare myself a week in advance. I tell Instagram that in a week I'm going live on this topic so that I had to show up. Like I would out myself. And I remember the first live I ever did, I was so nervous. I was sweating and I was about to press play, like go live, the button. And I was just sitting under where I'm not now, like at my desk, tapping on that point so nobody could see. Before I pressed live, I'm like, everything I need is within me now. Everything I need is within me now. And I just kept tapping and saying that mantra. I've also been in quite some fatal car accidents in the past. Where like paramedics have shown up, went to the hospital. They said I shouldn't have come out alive, but I was blessed with like just a few scrapes and bruises. And so sometimes I experience like trauma or a jolt when I'm in the car if I'm not aware of what's going on, and my husband will like randomly slam on brakes. It's very rare, but sometimes that'll activate me. And in that moment I'll feel like my heart literally jump, and it takes a minute to come back down. And so when I'm in that moment, I'll just go straight to my gamut point and I'll just breathe. I am safe. I am supported. I am safe. I am supported. So I utilize the power of affirmations or words, whatever I need in that moment, with the gamut point and my breath, and that deeply supports me.
Do you do this?
So that's the other technique. So
Let's learn this one. Yes.
okay, so this one takes a little longer, but the whole premises or thought of it is we have an activation point here. So you're going to start with 3 activations, and you're just going to tap, and everyone activates a little bit differently. The way I do it is, for example, we're talking about stress. So even though I'm stressed, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm stressed, I deeply and completely love and respect myself. Even though I'm stressed, I deeply and completely love and honor myself. So some people will keep that statement the same. Some people will change it each time. I change it. Then you'll go to the inner eyebrow, and you'll focus on the problem first. So it'll be something like, I'm stressed.
I'm stressed.
And then you go to the side of the eye. And that leaves me feeling really torn about what I should do in my life, or whatever it is, under the eye. It makes me feel like I can't keep all the balls in the air.
Is that okay that I do this silently? Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then under the nose. And if I can't keep all the balls in the air, then it means that I'm a failure. And then you go to the chin. And if I'm a failure, then I'm not worthy of love. And then you go to the collarbone. And I want to be loved so deeply. And inside the rib cage, I don't even know what love is, or whatever the problem is. Like I'm just rolling with this. And then top of the head. I wonder how I can solve this. So we're going to pause for a second. So you're going to tap on the problem. Typically I find around 3 times. You're just going to bring voice to the problem, how it's affecting you. And you keep doing that sequence, the exact same. So inner eye, side of the eye, under the nose, chin, 5 to 7 times each time. Collarbone, side of the rib cage. If you're female, it would be where your bra band is, and then top of the head. Eventually, if you are guiding yourself, what you'll notice is there's a point where either you don't really want to talk about the problem anymore, or it feels like it's gone, and you're ready for the solution. So then that's when you switch. You're going to complete the circuit, which is the top of the head. That's when you'll switch and move into the solution. So for example, it might be, well, I do know other people who have been loved before. And if other people have been loved before, then it means I can too. In fact, all babies are born inherently worthy with love, which means I am inherently worthy and loved. And if I am inherently worthy and loved, then the universe definitely has my back on reaching my fullest potential. I can now see how success may be closer than I think. Perhaps I'm not a failure, and there's just something else I need to learn. I trust that will be revealed to me soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, you would do that like 3 times, whatever it is, instead of once.
feels so good.
I
It's
haven't
very,
tapped in a long time. That felt good for me too. And I'm not even actively stressed in that moment, but just being able to tap on those affirmations, remind yourself how inherently worthy and loved you are, always feels good.
mm, mm. Which one is your favorite technique? So you said NLP, hypnotherapy, EFT. What else you say?
Time techniques, which is
Time
very
techniques.
similar to timeline
Good
therapy.
timeline.
It's a bit deeper of a process. That's something that needs to be facilitated in a one-on-one session. Um, and I always recommend more once the client relationship's more established. Because some people can have reactions to it because you're going back in time and you don't know their history. That's why I don't do it in the first session, because in the first session you don't always know their history. But once you get to know someone, you know whether they're well resourced, you know their history, you know their desires. It's easier to guide them through that process. So time techniques, and then nervous system regulation, trauma informed protocols, which is more just about ethics and professionalism and care.
What is your wealth formula?
My wild formula. Ooh.
Wealth formula.
Oh, my
Wealth.
wealth formula. I'm like, what is my wild formula? I'm like, what
Like
is
this
that?
lady is crazy. She's
My wealth formula. Give me a second. I want to give you a real answer here. My wealth formula is a combination of the work that we're discussing. For me in particular, I love hypnotherapy and tapping for wealth generation. But more importantly, it goes back to taking personal responsibility. So noticing when and where I have made not great financial decisions, and looking at what caused me, what drove me to make those decisions in that moment in time. Because again, every thought, every feeling, every behavior creates an action, and that action creates a decision, and that decision will create, the decision creates the action, and the action creates the result. The result will either get you closer to where you want to be or further away. And so always examining what I'm doing in my business, in my life, my money. I call it a money date. So I have a money date every Friday where I'm looking at all the stats, all the numbers in my business. So this is also, I combine personal and business at the same time, but I'll always start with my business. So I'll look at, what's coming in, what's coming out. If there's any payment failures, is my team on it? What are they doing about that? I'll look at as well the performance numbers in my business. So how many opt-ins have I had that week? What are my open rates in my emails like? What are my click rates like? How many sales have we had? If we're doing sales calls, how many sales calls have we had? What are the conversions? So I'm looking at all the numbers, not just tangible money numbers. If there's any invoices that still need to be paid, what am I doing to pay those? If I can't pay them in full, how much can I pay? So I'm looking at everything to take responsibility. Then from there, I'll look at my personal as well. And I'll do the same kind of examination. And when I'm doing my personal, I'll also notice what's coming up for me. So, okay, this is what's in my bank account. This is what I really want, or vice versa. What's coming up for me in this moment? Is it fear? Is it inadequacy? Is it gratitude? Right? Sometimes it's not always going to be bad. And then from there, if it is something that is not sitting well with me or not going to get me closer to my goals, like fear or inadequacy, whatever it might be, I'll do the reprogramming component like a hypnosis or tapping to get me right back to focusing on what I do want.
And how do you what do you think if people want to attract more money? What would you say? What do they need to do?
That comes back to take responsibility for me. Like the way I see it is, so like I said, I came out of a very hard season, and one of those seasons or elements of that season was financial strain for me. So I came from building over $500,000 business, retiring my husband, to telling him to go back to work because that actually wasn't great for our marriage. I was like, you know what? This doesn't sound as romantic and glamorous as it looks online. Go back to work. And
Exactly.
then this was also why I was deep in postpartum depression, mind you.
Oh my gosh. I
To
would
having
never
a
want my husband be retired. Like, go
no,
and
like it's
hunt.
like this big thing on Instagram, but it's not that fun.
No, not at all. I think men should be hunting and fighting, and this
Mhm.
is how I see men.
They need their masculine
Of
energy. You're
course.
absolutely right. I completely didn't, even though it was like what worked for us because it was during COVID. He could be home. I could bring the money home. All that. It completely demasculated him, and I saw a shift in
Absolutely.
him, and
Mm-hmm.
that created a shift in our marriage. It was not good for us at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so during that transition of him going back to work with me kind of taking a step back from my business so I could be in my feminine and be the mother and the provider in the home, and then transitioning my business into House of Joy, we intentionally took an income dip, like a big one, significant. And that was very, very scary. So I don't know why I'm sharing this. I forget the question, but what? Oh, financial. Like, what do people need to do?
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
me, in that season, and there's repair that needs to be done, and that repair takes time. So we're not back to where we were, but we're certainly not in that biggest, scariest moment either. Um, Taking responsibility for the decisions of, saying it's a good idea for my husband to come home, or deciding to invest $60,000 in an event that was not profitable because I was in a transition, and accepting those moments where I made bad decisions has supported me in coming to the lesson or the reframe that I needed, which was I am going through this hard financial time so that I can be even more wealthy than I already was. Because we were being stupid with our money. We had tons of money, but we weren't saving, we weren't investing. We were just like spending it on like dinners and toys for our kid. Like we didn't know how to manage it. And so I deeply believe that the financial strain that we experienced was so that we can learn how to be responsible with our money, so that we can have the wealthy life, like the true wealthy life that we say that we want.
I see. Amazing. Rachel, thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for your experience. Thank you for showing us tapping. I've done this before. I actually wanted to get the certificate, but then I was like, no, 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 I'm not going this route. I know already enough, I just need implement everything. And I love tapping. But thank you so much for your authenticity and honesty and openness. And I think that's what's really important for people to see, that sometimes life is just getting hard. And what really matters is that you have this toolbox of what you are doing at those moments, right? Who
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
people who support you? Like, who will be, where can you get and ask for help? And what can you do in the moments when it's the hardest, even like me, jumping and hitting with the legs and screaming in the pillow, and it turns out everybody hears me, and that's okay. I'm just showing the example also to my family. Don't keep the emotions inside. Whatever is happening, it's everything is figure outable, right? How Marie Forleo is saying. So thank you so much, Rachel. And what I wish you is like to have a beautiful, easy, and light labor.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I
And this
appreciate
last
that
time,
greatly.
this I don't know. You said you are 33 weeks. You have like
36.
36. Oh my
Yes, it's
God.
coming up.
Look at this girl. She's here and she's talking about everything. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
yeah. And
Have a
if
great
people
night.
want to find you, Rachel, where they
Oh,
can find you, and maybe there is
great
something you
question.
can give them.
Yes, I do have a free gift. You can find it on my Instagram. So my website is theracheljoy.com. Instagram is where I hang out the most. I have two Instagrams. I have my personal, and then I have my business, which is House of Joy, as I mentioned. So my personal is at the Rachel Joy 1, and that will guide you to all the different serial entrepreneur ideas that I have. We talk more about my authentic self and success based work. And then at official.houseofjoy is my life and success coaching hub for empowered and ambitious mothers. And the free gift that I have for you is a secret podcast. I actually just created it last week, so I'm really excited to share it with you. It's a 5-track audio course or podcast designed for you to reignite your spark in motherhood, marriage, and business. So I'll give you the link for that, and you can download that if that feels something that you're called to.
So people, if you want this, you need to follow me, you need to follow Rachel, and the message that you need to send me, Rachel, just send me Rachel gift, and we're gonna send you the link. Okay?
Love that. Great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.